Namaskaram, everyone. I apologize to those standing in the back. I wish there were a way we could accommodate you, but I think all the chairs are filled and everything is filled. So you could all sit there if you want, if you felt like it only. So thank you for coming tonight. This is a very important topic. It tends to exist in pop culture, and I think that's why there's so much enthusiasm for it. There's been a lot of new agey beliefs passed around the world around chakras. And what's really nice is we have a great spiritual master named Paramahansa Yogananda who could actually see chakras, who could actually communicate those experiences with us so that we can have a better understanding of the chakras. The chakras are energy centers. Let's see. Many of you know this already. There we go. Those actually aren't the colors that Yoganandaji said were the colors of the chakras, but Dharmarajan is going to cover that. Surprise, surprise! Before Ananda, I was very much part of New Agey stuff. I lived in California, so you can only guess things that were happening there. Indian drumming circles, laying on of hands with stones, all sorts of things, learning all about, this is the color of that chakra and I have to work on that issue, and this is the color I should focus on in order to heal that chakra. And someone would come up and say, there's an imbalance in your chakra. Would you like me to balance it for you? And, and actually, just a little bit of that is true. There's truth underneath that, and I think that's why people get so excited about it, because there is truth. And to know that there are chakras which we cannot see unless you're a spiritual master or someone with incredible psychic skills, the fact that there's so much belief in chakras is wonderful, because one of the goals of meditation, and we practice Kriya yoga meditation, it's called Kriya yoga, which makes you think there's an asana involved, but really yoga means Kriya means movement in this way, and yoga is a whole way of life. So it's Kriya yoga meditation that we practice, and the chakras come very much into what we do. So we're all familiar with this image, which is fairly accurate except for the colors. We already have an intuition about the chakras in addition to a faith. The chakras exist. There's something unseen I can tune into. We also tune into it physically, whether we know it or not. When we are feeling sad, it's in the heart. Does that mean our lungs and our physical heart hurts? No, we're feeling our heart chakra. When we feel as though we've been abandoned or someone has taken our power away, we go, is it because of the stomach? Well, the stomach can have illnesses from that, but what's going on? I just feel it here. I have a lump in my throat. People will say that. I feel a lump in my throat. I can't communicate. It's not because the larynx and the vocal cords are necessarily giving problems. There's an energetic issue going on. So we do tune into how the chakras affect us physically, which can add to a belief about the chakras in general. Whether our breathing is constricted or not can also account for whether we're feeling emotional or calm. When our breathing is calm, then we tend to find ourselves calm. When our breathing is fast and tense, we tend to realize that we're feeling tense about things. So, just a general overview. These chakras are actually what Yoganandaji called, and not just Yoganandaji, yoga philosophy, is they are vortices that live in the astral body. Have people heard of the astral body? Anybody hear of the astral body? So the astral body is the energetic body we bring from the astral world that is bound to ourselves. Without it, we wouldn't be living right now. But it comes with us, and it carries these chakras, which are vrittis, in each of the areas. These vrittis contain our karma. So all the storage from past lives is right there. Little vortices of energy that we can't see. But we slowly but surely can work with these chakras in order to gain more energy. The chakras, I should mention, Yoganandaji talked about how cosmic energy or prana comes into the body through the medulla oblongata. It's the only place in the body that can't be operated on. If it is, usually there's immediate death if there's damage that goes on here. It's also where the ego lies. So we find that when there's tension there, you'll see someone who's kind of snooty, pull their nose back like, it's because there's tension here. And it's always good to check. Someone says, "Good job, you did such a good job on that project." Thank you. It's just kind of good to know that, oh, oops, that was my ego. So we can know these things. The other thing that people would often talk about is your chakras are blocked. You've got a blocked chakra. Let me unblock your chakra for you. Or let me take all your karma away in this one healing session. Now, according to Yoganandaji, what blockage really means is that the energy is going out the chakra through the senses. So if we are doing any kind of, we'll be going through all the chakras, but out the senses, when we're overly appreciating sense pleasures of some sort, all that energy leaks out of us. And when we meditate, and when we're calm, and when we're peaceful, we're actually drawing that energy back into the chakras, into the spine, and we can direct that energy upward. If we go back into the sense pleasures, the energy goes down and then out again. So if you're feeling fatigued because you had an overly fabulous holiday time where you got to eat every sweet you ever wanted to have, and you got all the goodies, I got a new car, and I got this, and I got that, and all my family came, and I talked nonstop for 48 hours, and then afterwards, why am I so tired? Does it just have to do with the energy that you expended? It also has to do with all that energy from the chakras went out through the senses. And then when we have a big outward time, it's time to go inward and draw that energy back in and recharge. So this is the whole reason why I'm talking about the attitudes associated with the chakras. Dharmarajan is going to go a little bit more into Kriya Yoga. But Yogananda made it clear that the raising of the Kundalini, which we've all heard of Kundalini most likely, living at the base of the spine, the raising of the Kundalini force through the chakras must be accompanied by conscious purification of the heart's feelings. The energy can't be drawn in and go up, ultimately to here, unless we also work on our attitudes and habits. The most important part of its awakening depends on kindness, generosity, truthfulness, and the basic virtues. So sometimes people think, oh, I can just meditate. I don't have to work on myself. I'll just meditate. I'll just sit in a closet and meditate and tell people to get away from me. I'm meditating. I want God. I'm so joyful. that I want God. And they get a little prideful. This is what happens with some yogis who you might have an uncle you call crazy because he doesn't want to talk to anybody and he just says, people, blah, and no joy, just austerity. Now, for a great master, you can get away with that. If you're a great master and that's the karma you need to do, great. But for most of us, householders, there's an element of working it out with people. And that working it out with people has to do with practicing the kindness, generosity, truthfulness with kindness. And so think of this then. Every time one is unkind, ungenerous, untruthful, or behaves in any way contrary to the virtues, his kundalini continues its downward course into ever dimmer awareness. So every time we're unkind, every time we yell at the driver next to us, every time we kick a dog, every time we scream at our mother, every time we're rude to the person at the grocery store, all that says, hey, Kundalini, come down now. And it's just through these unconscious behaviors that we find ourselves in bad moods. And why? Because the energy is flowing down the spine. When we find ourselves in a good mood, it's very simple. The energy is going up the spine. So it's a simple mathematical formula. I used to be an engineer, so I greatly appreciate mathematics. So the goal of even thinking about the chakras is just a tool. It's a tool for self-realization. It's a tool for finding the presence of God more and more in our life. And so we want, with our chakras, to have a free flow of energy in from the senses and up the spine, as opposed to when the cosmic energy comes into the medulla, it gets distributed down to all the chakras. And so we have the choice when it's distributed to send it out, down and out, or in and up. We can shift our attitudes, habits, and thought patterns. First comes awareness, which I'll talk about in a moment. We want freedom from being stuck in a negative or destructive lifestyle. Each chakra has its own set of attitudes we can work on. This don't be a chakra doctor is kind of what I was talking about earlier. Meaning, just because someone has an ulcer does not mean it's in the third chakra. It could have something to do with the fifth chakra or not being able to communicate. So we don't really know why we have certain ailments. There are some books out where, you have this illness, it means this attitude for everybody. But everybody has different karma. So you can't just say one thing is due to one thing. And someone might have an ulcer and it's due to his fifth chakra. Someone else might have an ulcer, it might be due to the third chakra. Someone has an ulcer, it might be due to the second. We just don't know. So let's not try and analyze it in that way. In fact, the chakra system is a holistic system. It takes gathering the energy from the base of the spine up to the Agya chakra, the spiritual eye. It's a whole system. All the chakras matter. Now, of course, we do tend to focus here because when we focus on the heart, on the throat, on the sixth chakra, we create a magnet that then draws the energy up from the lower chakras up to here. When we create that magnet, we don't want to focus on the lower chakras necessarily, although we can focus on the attitudes that we want to cultivate to bring balance to things. But it's very important not to just isolate one chakra and say, that's what I've got to do. It's a whole system that needs to be worked as a whole. And no chakra is bad. Each chakra has qualities where it can be spiritualized. And what that means especially is we do tend to associate bad energy or bad activities with the lower chakras. Stealing, abuse of others, things like that. Live in the lower chakras. But the focus that it takes a thief to plan out a job and then, do it with precision, all that can be upward, can't it? He can use that focus, use that precision to bring goodness into the world. But he's stuck down there. So that's why he's doing that. Of course, Yoganandaji said, the only reason why we're not thieves and murdering people is because we've done it in past lives already, and we realized it's not a good thing to do. But that we've mostly done everything. And if you are a spiritual seeker, it's because you've done everything. You're sick of everything. It's time for something else. We've followed our preferences, our desires for lifetimes, and then they've come back with us in our chakras. And we're stuck with them, but we can work with them, especially through meditation. Okay, so I'm just going to, this is more for information because we have a lot more we want to cover. Can you tell me the time? Okay. I'm going to go through this fairly quickly, but you might recognize your attitudes. What each of these chakras is going to explain is what of course the element, but what the divine benefit is when you pull that energy into your chakras through meditation, through calmness, through peace. When you draw that energy in for a long time, not just tonight, but when you draw it in, there's a divine gift when you have mastered that chakra that comes to you, okay? So for the first chakra, the Muladhara, located at the base of the spine, the earth element, think of grounding into the earth, feel as though we can't just live in an airy sense. We also need that earth aspect in our lives. But the divine gift of making our first chakra spiritualized by drawing that energy in is the positive fruits of practicing the yamas. And so I'm just going to quickly talk about in the yamas the do's and don'ts. So we have ahimsa. The gift of practicing ahimsa perfectly is you've gotten rid of the desire to do any harm, and therefore wild animals and criminals will become tame in your presence. Non-lying, that means not lying to yourself and not lying to others. Through pure truthfulness, you can attain the fruits of actions without acting, meaning your thoughts manifest. Non-stealing, by ridding yourself perfectly of these desires, wealth can come whenever it's needed. If you've noticed, God usually only gives us what we need anyway, not what we want, right? So let's perfect the first chakra, and we can even feel how it's worth it. Non-sensuality, brahmacharya, by perfectly preserving one's inner energy and directing it upwards, one will attain great vigor. I think a lot of us know that already. Non-greed, through perfect non-attachment to wanting what others have, or actually wanting what others have is stealing. Wanting more of what we have leads to overcoming the temporary identification with the body, feeling like I have to have more of that to be secure. Okay, so if you notice, a lot of those yamas are associated with feeling secure, feeling taken care of. So when the energy is going up, we feel grounded, solid, secure, loyal to the truth as we know it, concentration, perseverance. When the energy is going down, and these are attitudes we can work on, if you notice yourself feeling this way, then you can know, hey, I can work on these attitudes. Too much stubbornness, inflexibility, unable to move, grow, or change, jealousy, separation from others, attached to getting our way. So you can go, I have been doing those things. You know, there's probably something going on with me that I need to shift. You know, how is it that I am feeling so insecure about life that I have to be this way? You know, how can I bring more peace into my life so I don't have to manifest that? Second chakra, area of the reproductive organs. The qualities of water, fluidity, flexibility. So the fruit is practicing the niyamas. You get these positive fruits from the niyamas. So from perfect cleanliness, a disinclination for the pleasures of the body, from contentment, the power to realize divine bliss in every atom of creation, from inward austerity, attain yogi siddhis or powers, from self-study, the power to commune with beings on higher spheres of existence, from devotion to the Supreme Lord, enters upon that ray of divine love where infinite consciousness forever dwells. I hate to read it like that, because if you're really in the moment and you're really feeling God's presence, you're not going to just go, oh, and then there's supreme, love for the Lord too. Don't forget that. It's not really that way, but I'm going through this quickly, so please forgive. We're not being flippant about this. And we have different levels of our classes. Level 1 is learn to meditate. It doesn't mean you're just a beginner, but you're learning Kriya Yoga meditation, the first steps towards it. The second class is called Raja Yoga. This is where we go in depth to all of these attitudes. So if you find you need help with this, the level 2 of the classes goes in much more deeply to this. Love and devotion is the most important of all, but we'll get to that. Let's see. Okay, so when the energy is up, in the second chakra, we're feeling creative. We like to grow and change, and we can do it under any circumstance. We're open-minded, receptive, flow with life's constant changes and challenges, and we can practice true discrimination. So when the energy is down, we find indecisiveness, overly swayed by others, unable to stand in their own principles and issues. And so if you think of the element being around fluidity, you can be overly fluid. That's when you become overly influenced by others' opinions, overly worried about others' opinions, going from flitting from job to job. No, that's not what I want to do. That's not what I want to do. This is too much water, too much fluidity. But when you have true fluidity, bad things happen in life, don't they? And it's very easy to be resentful or bitter when something has happened and not gone our way. And we can hold on to those feelings for a long time. But part of emotional maturity is learning to adapt and also understanding that there's more to life than the material. And in life, humans aren't perfect. They betray us. They hurt our feelings. They try to undermine us. They do all sorts of things. And you can't just be bitter about it the whole time. You have to accept that life is full of disappointments as well. We can't control our life to the point of forcing it to be the way we want it to be, which leads us to the third chakra. So area of the stomach, the divine gift is fiery self-control. Notice the word self-control, not fiery control, but self-control. Okay, when the third chakra is having its energy in and up, we are enthusiastic, joyful, in control of yourself, ourselves, and life. We practice loving leadership as opposed to tyranny. Burn away obstacles to truth. Direct our own energy. When the energy is down and out, we might wallow in feeling guilty. We might have self-critical thoughts, self-abuse, lack of self-control. over-controlling of others, or trying to be over-controlling of others, cruelty even, and abuse of others. These things happen with the misuse of the third chakra. It's actually a very important issue to explore in ourselves and in others. Very often, we feel we are the victim of the boss who is this way, over-controlling. And again, when we do not place so much focus on that boss is wrong, he should stop it, he's adharmic, which could all be true. The true thing is, how do I respond? How do I react? How do I behave in the face of this? And it all comes back to me. How do I do it? And sometimes it's say the right thing at the right time. Maybe he's open to hearing, some of the employees are not feeling very good the way you're treating them. But that's usually a tyrannical type person will not want to listen to that. But I think it's something we all have to go through in life. Could be a tyrannical uncle, husband, father, wife, aunt, all sorts of people that happen. And what I'm amazed by is, how people in India especially still live and give love, despite having big family gatherings where the biggest thorn sits, and still living. Very often in other countries, it's just don't ever invite that person again. But in actuality, those people need love more than anyone else. And I think that is understood here.
It's your computer.
Did my computer go out? So for the fourth chakra, the heart chakra, this will go faster now. I don't have to. For the heart chakra, for the fourth chakra, when the energy is in and up, the divine fruit, the divine gift is divine love. So often, when there's this, if you want to say imbalance in the fourth chakra, the message we give is, I love you if. If you are this way, I will love you. If you are that way, I will love you. If you are this way, I will not love you. So who does the silent treatment here? I'm withdrawing my love so I can get what I want. So we have to be careful. We want to ultimately, and when the energy is drawn in and going up, we have that divine unconditional love flowing from us to others. We're not saying I love you if. Sure, people can behave poorly, but we don't have to take that love away. We don't have to punish. The heart does a lot of things. The key, I don't need it anymore. The key to the heart, the key to the chakras is what we do right here. If we are not working on our hearts, opening our hearts, we will never be able to love God fully. We'll never be able to give unconditional love to others. And it causes great suffering. And very often we say, why do I feel so much suffering? Why does my heart hurt so much? And what we can do is, rather than focus on ourselves because of the lack of love in our lives, start loving others. Start giving unconditional love to others. Now, it's very hard if someone's a destructive individual. In that case, if you can be neutral, that might be the goal. But you can give that person up to God. You can say, Divine Mother, you take care of that person for me. You deal with them. For the throat chakra, the Vishuddha, it's located here, kind of in the lower throat, where the vocal cords are. This gives an expanded amount of calmness when we have the energy in and up. Now, what is too much out? blah 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 blah. Everything that is part of communication goes through this chakra. What we eat, what we ingest, what we say, the air we breathe. So when this chakra is too outward, then we're not experiencing. We will feel restless. We'll feel bored. We'll have dissipated our peaceful energy. One of the things our new and not so new members do after a nice deep meditation at the center. We end with an Om, Om. You're feeling so much energy up here. Okay, and then we say, now, try and take that peacefulness with you as you leave the room. Yes, we will do that. And then everyone goes out the door and goes, it just dissipates it, but then over time you learn, oh, if I keep that energy that I've developed, if I keep that energy that I drew in through meditation to feel that calmness, if I keep that energy for a while, it goes up. And then I have more spiritual advancement or awareness or something. Anyway, it's something I like to tease about. So then we have the spiritual eye, which there's a pole here. We have the medulla and we have the spiritual eye, the Agya chakra. And the medulla is considered the negative aspect, the negative pole, the spiritual eye, the positive pole. And what Yoganandaji tells us to do is try and really focus at this point as often as possible. It doesn't mean that we walk around overly pious. Excuse me, I'm looking at my spiritual eye. Instead, there are many times you can focus on it when you're not having to be social. You can be cooking, and every once in a while just breathe into that space. Just breathe into it. You can be at your desk at the office, and every once in a while take a break and just breathe into the spiritual eye. In meditation, we focus here, and like I said, it creates a magnet that draws that energy up. Enlightenment is when the full force of the Kundalini finally rises up. Now, the Kundalini brings up little sparks here and there, and periodically it makes us feel good, and we think, maybe I'm almost enlightened. Is that enlightenment? I had a drop of bliss the other day. And Yoganandaji says it's when the full force of Kundalini reaches here, the full force. You won't be mistaken. It won't be like, was that Kundalini? No, it won't be that. You will have become a very changed person, not through your own will, not through, and now I am blessing you with my presence. It's not that. And we want it so bad, sometimes it is that way, but it's better to be authentic. So when the full force of the Kundalini happens here, then a channel is opened that opens the Sahasrara chakra. So usually we don't even think or focus on this chakra because we can't get to it. We're focusing here so that we can open up that channel. But that comes with liberation. What I would like to close with is that Yoganandaji said, if you are practicing a meditation practice, you can love God with your whole heart. Even if you are only doing bhakti right now, think about learning some meditation. Even 5 minutes of meditation changes your whole day. And so when we meditate, we can feel such upliftment. The more we meditate, the more we want to meditate. And it will send that energy up the chakras and balance them. Remember, no one else can take your karma from you unless they're a spiritual master who's already been liberated. So don't believe someone who comes up to you and says, I can do something. There you go. Thank you. I did it. Thank you. So anyway, this is a joyful path. That's why we have humor. Because as human beings, we have to have humor about ourselves. We're not perfect. But the yogic path is a serious path also. It's serious to love God. It's serious to feel His bliss. It is serious to be going towards Him because He invites you. Divine Mother is there, just waiting for your thought to turn up so she can say, yes, come to me. So let's remember that with the chakras, that the chakras are a tool that we use in order to get to God. Okay? God bless you.